So it seems that we now know why Meghan's project Pearl did not see the light of day. And it's not because, well, not only because Meghan is a bit lazy, but it seems that, well, Netflix got the message that if they went through with the project, they were going to receive a solid lawsuit of copyright infringement, because Meghan Markle is accused of ripping off a British author's book series for a feminist Netflix show after a writer spots striking similarities between her character and the Duchess animation. This is, you might say, I know that what the Sausage Squad is going to say, oh, you are trying to prey on Meghan now after she dropped that animation series at Netflix. But no, this she published these books in 2014, 2015, and 2016, and they were quite successful, right? My only question before we move on is, why didn't more people notice this? If the third book, in fact, was, according to sources, celebrities were recommending that. Why more people didn't notice the similarities between this and what Meghan was created? But well, something sometimes happened, and it seems that it happened the right way. The Duchess of Sussex was plunged into a copycat row last night when a British author revealed she had sent legal letters. It's a legal letter, but the text says that it was more than one, pointing out that she considered to be striking similarities between Meghan's first children's TV show and her own work, the TV show that never was. Pearl, announced by the Duchess in July 2021, was an animated series about a little girl as she learned to step into her power and finds inspiration from influential women throughout history. It was key title in the $100 million deal. Meghan was credited as executive producer, essentially somebody who calls the shots in what can be done and what not, which is quite a responsibility for somebody who has zero experience in the field, but well, whatever. Meghan was alongside Sir Elton John's husband, David Furnish. You remember that, right? That they made a little noise about this. But the show was killed less than a year later, with Meghan swiftly removing all references to it from the website of her production company, Archwell. That was strange. That was actually strange. It was out of the blue, it went poof. Now, globally published children's writer Mel Elliot from Hastings has disclosed that she sent a legal letter suggesting a potential infringement of copyright in relation to her own creation, a little British girl called Pearl Power. The author and illustrator then followed up with 2 further personal letters. Okay, the other letters were personal. And last night, Mel said, Meghan is a feminist who sticks up for other women, so I was disappointed. Oh, Mel, you're so gullible. So I was disappointed and confused to see how similar Netflix proposed show Pearl was to my own Pearl Power, who had been created 7 years earlier. Oh, some people are that. So some people are just like that. They actually believe people like Meghan are out for good, that they are upholding, that they're supporting, that they are trying to find power for women and girls. No, they are not. They are out for themselves. But Mel, this was a wake-up call. This was a wake-up call. And it's a good thing that this didn't go any further. Of course, I can't know if anyone on her team had seen it and been inspired by it, but the similarities were too great for me to ignore. Yeah, because one thing is inspiration, and another thing is that an author realizes, okay, but what Meghan is saying here, down to the name of the girl, sounds a lot like what I already made and published, which is the most important thing. Mel's lawyers wrote the Duchess. The illustrations are really good, are really cute. Her Power, written and illustrated by Mel Elliot. Mel's lawyers wrote to the Duchess, the similarities between your proposed animation series and my client's work appear to be too many and too striking to be mere coincidence. So it's It's legalese. It is a very, let's say, polite way saying you are a liar, you're a copycat, you're a plagiarist. You lifted this from our client's work. So that is essentially a cease and desist letter. By the time Meghan's new show was announced, Mel had already written 3 per power books published in 2014, 15, and 16. The world of arts and media are very competitive. I'm afraid it's quite common for powerful people to rip off the work of less well-known creatives, although I'm not saying that that's what happened here. That happens a lot, and in fact, it's, in those terms, it's a bit concerning. The other day, the former founder of Twitter, I forgot his name, was saying that copyright laws should be abolished. And in fact, Elon Musk was okay with that. I think that no, it should not, because it would mean that if you write a book or make an illustration or write a song, then anyone can just use it and claim it as their own, and you will have no right over what you created. That is insane, because, well, you know that so many tech enthusiasts and muggles and CEOs want to train their AIs with all this content, and copyright gets in the way of that, and it would be much easier if these copyright laws were not, like this bump in the road. But it's a good thing, because so many people put their heart and soul, like Mel, in their creations, that it should be protected. All right. What saddened me the most is that, wait for this, this is the best part. Having brought the similarities between my Pearl and Meghan's Pearl to the attention of Netflix and Archwell, my objection was never acknowledged. Neither Netflix nor Archwell responded to me when I would have loved to have contributed and collaborated. Oh my God, Mel, you are so. How can I say this without being too hard, without being too cruel? People like Meghan will not ask permission, and rest assured, she's not going to include you in default. It's a good thing you noticed this and you reacted. The fact that you reacted tells me that you care about your work. You care about your own effort. You say that, hey, wait a second. If they're actually inspired by my work, I want to be part of it. But I think this was way more than inspiration. The third was a runaway success, the third book by Mel, translated into Japanese, Mandarin, Korean, French, Spanish, Italian, and Dutch, as well as being published in the UK and America. The author and illustrator is also well known for her grown-up coloring books, which have a cult celebrity following. Her work sells in household name stores ranging from W.H. Smith and Tesco in the UK to Bloomingdale's and Barnes & Noble in the US. She started turning her Pearl Power character into an animated TV series in 2019, 2 years before Meghan's 2021 Netflix announcement. Pearl's first encounter was to be with tennis legend and women's sports equality campaigner Billie Jean King, who publicly endorsed the project. Well, I'm sorry to say that Billie Jean King also endorses men in women's sports. So, oh my God, that was maybe that first step was not that great, but well, bear with me. I remember that this is a royal rogue. I should not be talking about politics and cultural war here, but it's hard to compartmentalize this stuff. But well, this absolutely sounds like Meghan's project. A girl named Pearl meeting this awesome women from history. That pretty much sounds like that. Pearl Power and the Toy Problem. The similarities between your proposed animation series and my client's work appear to be too many, too striking to be mere coincidence. It also appears, this is good, there is a risk that your proposed series may infringe intellectual property rights belonging to my client and or may give rise to a claim in passing off or in the U.S. some form of unfair competition. Well, it's like, that sounds like our girl Meghan, right? Unfair competition is part of her resume. No remedial action was taken and the Duchess did not respond. Surprisingly, however, given the high profile, this is interesting that they did not respond, not Netflix, not Archwell, not their attorneys, because you usually address a notification from an attorney, right? But surprisingly, however, given the high-profile nature of the show's launch and the heavyweight team assembled, no further details were shared by Archwell or their streaming platform. And Pearl was canceled 10 weeks later at the start of May 2022. Netflix said it was one of several projects, including 2 other children's shows, which were being dropped because of falling subscriber numbers, which necessitated cutbacks. This could be a coincidence, but is the name Pearl? It's a girl who was meeting women from history to learn about their struggles and their projects and what they stood for and how they changed history, which is nice. It's pretty much the same. The company was said to have decided to pivot away from animation at the time the cuts were announced. That is false. That is blatantly false because Netflix has released many other animation projects since then. So I think that was a lousy explanation for what really happened. And I don't claim to know what really happened. I just say that maybe they realize this is going to be a real pain in the butt. This is going to be, this could turn into a legal nightmare. Established publisher, she's got all the cards on her hand to sue our arses for copyright. Meghan, where did you get this? I can imagine Meghan, oh no, I just came up with that. And Ted Sarandos, Meghan, don't lie to me. I know that face. I know your face when you're lying. It's almost all the time. Meghan, don't do that to me. And Meghan, oh yeah, well, you caught me. I just lifted that from her work. It was, who was going to pay attention? Who was going to notice that? I was going to, you know that Meghan thought that she could get away with this. But again, I would like to know what you think about this in the comments. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Royal Rogue. Much love and bliss.